check, 1 2 1 2. You want beef with the king? What is you gonna do? We back, we back, we back, we back. This is Hood Tales with Conehead coming to you live and direct. This is a different type of episode. That's why I didn't do any introduction music or anything like that. As you see the title, it has something to do with a family member. This is episode 104. And you know, yesterday was a difficult day for me. My Aunt Barbara passed away yesterday. I didn't find out until yesterday afternoon that she was even on life support. She was on a breathing machine. She had then died a couple times, and they kept resuscitating her, bringing her back, and the machine was what was keeping her alive. So, you know, it's a little somber mood that I'm in right now because I'm kind of still processing everything due to the fact that, you know, I was adopted and I didn't grow up with my auntie. You know, it kind of feels different, you know. It's not like, you know, emotional attachment or anything like that when it comes to that situation. And, you know, yeah, she's blood because that's my biological aunt. That's my dad's second, my dad's sister. He was the oldest out of all the siblings, but she was the second, you know what I'm saying? So it's like her and my dad used to be together a lot when he was alive before his life was taken at the age of 25 back in 1983. And, you know, the amazing thing about Auntie Barbara was the fact that, you know, they knew of me, but, you know, I guess because of the way the foster system was set up back in the 80s, you know what I'm saying, the early whatever, it was kind of difficult to see, you know, or find out information about, you know, a child that was put up for adoption, you know. So I met my biological mother's side of the family when I was 15. So, you know, it was kind of, you know, different. You know, I met my grandmother when I was 12, unexpectedly, and then, you know, 3 years later I met my mom. And so, you know, my dad's side of the family was always a question mark for me because of the simple fact that, you know, only communication I had was with my mother, and was telling me about my relatives and stuff like that on my dad's side, and especially, you know, giving me information about my father. But in 2009, I actually got in contact with a family member, and that's how everything evolved for me to be introduced on my dad's side. So back in 2009, they had a family reunion, and I ended up going, and Auntie Barbara was the first family member that I actually met, and we talked, and it was kind of cool because she had so much information about my father because she used to be with my dad on a day-to-day basis, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I got a lot more insight. Then I got insight from different family members about some of his activities in the streets and things that he did and achievements and accomplishments and things of that nature. So, you know, my Uncle Bob, Auntie Shell, Auntie Linda, and then Auntie Barbara. But I kept thinking that I had an Auntie Joyce and an Auntie Barbara, but lo and behold, I only had her. They call her Joyce, but her name is Barbara. So, you know, but to be honest, I really don't know how to feel. I really can't wrap my mind around it. And when I talked to my Auntie Shell yesterday, she was basically, you know, understanding of the fact that she like, I know, nephew, you really don't know how to feel right now, simply because, you know, you really didn't know your aunt, and you knew of her, but you didn't know her. You didn't have that bond and that connection. And, you know, I'm still learning my family. I'm still learning relatives. Like when my auntie 50th birthday came a couple months back, I met family from all walks of life, whether it was here or whether it was in Miami, whether it was from Texas, whether it was from New York, Pennsylvania, California. Like, I'm still learning. I'm still like getting a handle on family because of the simple fact, like, I didn't know growing up that, until I was 6 or 7 years old, that I was even adopted. My mother, gave us the real. She never lied to us and never made us think that we belonged to her. She always let us know that we were not her children. So the crazy thing about it is, like, for me, just knowing all that, like, even finding out that Trayvon Martin is my blood cousin, like, blood, like, that his whole, like, Slim was his nickname in the family. And that was kind of crazy when I learned this from cousin Tony, that, yeah, that's your blood cousin. Like, I was living down near Daytona at the time he ended up getting killed by that buster, you know what I'm saying? And I was living down there, would be in Sanford a lot. Never knew that that was my blood cousin. But how small the world is. So for me, learning that was like big, and that was back in 2016 that I found out that that was my blood cousin. Like, that was my little cousin. So, rest in peace to Trayvon. Rest in peace to my dad. Rest in peace to Auntie Barbara, And to know that she was going through what she was going through was kind of difficult too, because I didn't know she was sick. Like, she hadn't got hit with a little bit of dementia and things of that nature. So at the end of the day, it was kind of crazy to find out all this stuff, that she was ill, like she was ill. But to know that, she's in a better place, and, I was kind of sitting looking out the window yesterday thinking about everything, and it was just kind of crazy because I was like, man, I really didn't know her that well. We talked and we had our moments, but, I didn't have that emotional attachment and connection with my aunt. I'm not saying that I didn't love her or nothing like that, because of course she's my family, but just to know, I grew up not knowing who these people even exist. And it really was like, even when my grandmother passed away, like, I had no emotional attachment to her. So I didn't cry. I didn't shed tears. I didn't feel bad. I was just like, okay, this is a lady that is my grandmother. Yeah, true, by blood, but I don't know her. I didn't know my grandmother. I really didn't. So for me to just be like, upset or, sad or disappointed in anything, like, it's not like that for me right now. And I mean, I know a lot of it plays with my childhood and stuff like that too. Being in a foster home and how it was abusive and things like that. I think it kind of numbed me for the world. That's why, I've never been depressed in my life. I've just been disappointed. So, it's kind of really, even doing this episode, it's just strange because I really don't know how to feel. I really don't. And, like, I don't think there's nothing wrong with me, per se, but I just don't know, Like, that's my dad. That was my dad's right hand. Like, Auntie Barbara used to thug it out with Pops. You know what I'm saying? Riding. He's telling me the stories about how they used to ride around in his truck he had with tinted windows, and they used to get off the, like, selling pills and this and that, and it was just crazy to hear the stories. But it just gave me a better insight of why some of the things that I've partaken in and some of the things I've done was going on at the time. Because for me, it was more of wanting to know Like the stories I've heard about how he helped the family, the stories I heard about how he was basically like the glue. Auntie Barbara was the one had all the insight. She knew everything. Uncle Bob knew some, but Auntie Barbara was like the catalyst for, talking about her brother, her big brother, because he was the oldest. And she was second, you know what I'm saying? So, and Auntie Shell was a little girl when my father passed. So, I had to check on my auntie when she sent me the message saying that, they had to pull the plug. My cousin Jarvis and my cousin Dominique, which are her kids, they basically had to make a decision about their mother. And I know that could have been a hard thing to do because, they love their mom just like, anyone would love their mother. And so, they had to come to the conclusion that, the machine was the only thing keeping her alive. So I can only imagine, how much pressure and how much, weight that was for them to have to make that final decision. Because like they said, she had uncoded on like several different occasions while she was in the hospital. So they only could do so much, and they was like, if she coded again, they wasn't going to revive or resuscitate her. And then they had her on the machine. And so from me learning something new yesterday, they only have 12 hours to keep you on a breathing machine, and then eventually they have to unplug it. They have to take you off. And so they wanted all the family to go to the hospital yesterday, but me, I just wasn't really, I didn't really know what to do or really know how to feel. So I didn't want to be there and just, be there like numb. Like I'm sitting here watching reactions and emotions of family and things like that and friends of family. And I'm just sitting there like lost because I'm like, I don't know how to, process this shit. I don't know how to feel. But, I walked outside. It was kind of cool, nice day yesterday. And I started seeing how it went from bright and sunny to like cloudy, and then it went to basically overcast. And I just said, God, if it's time for her to go, let her be up there with you, grandpa, grandma, my dad, and family who, left before her. And, hopefully she's in a better place. I pray that, she got things right with God before, she lost consciousness and things of that nature and wasn't able to respond. But God knows your heart, and God hears your cries, and He knows and He understands. So anybody who's ever felt this way like I feel, or anybody who's ever had to experience this type of like loss, like where you lose someone that's blood but you don't have a connection to them, like it's almost like a stranger in a way, but they your family. Don't let it overwhelm you. I mean, I'm not overwhelmed, I'm just kind of like lost because I don't know what to feel. I just don't know how to feel. And so, shout out to my family, shout out to Auntie Barbara. I love you. Even though your nephew didn't have that close relationship with you, you'll always be in my heart, and I always keep you alive, and I always cherish the time that we did communicate and the time that we did have an opportunity to bond. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for the things you told me about my father, and I thank you for showing me love and unconditional love, even though I wasn't able to be raised with you. But I love you, and God bless. This is Hood Tales with Conehead. I am your host for the day, Conehead, and I thank y'all for supporting my channel. Like, subscribe, and, notification on the YouTube end, and, I'll be doing more episodes and more podcasts. Love y'all.